Hello friends, we're back in the kart. It was a double header of races at VIMC last weekend, or a triple header if you include the practice day, which is this here. Normally I wouldn't show that to you, but this session at the end of the day was, I think, certainly at that point and possibly even now, my best session of karting so far. I think I really made a step forward in understanding how to drive the thing. So, number 31 in front of me here is Chris Dinkov, who's a very fast driver, and Kalis Martin's actually right behind me, also very quick. And this is a scenario that I have been hoping for ever, essentially, to be sandwiched in the middle of one of these trains of fast drivers so that I can learn from the guy in front and, when I mess up, hopefully get a little bump from the guy behind. Although, actually, this session, it looks like Kalis was looking for the pass more often than the bump, but it still all worked out. Just little things like how he takes this chicane here, using lift off to help get rotation, stuff like that, and the lines in general. Just having a few consistent laps behind somebody who's really quick was so helpful to get that stuff dialed in, and then especially since I got it all on video, I can't tell you how many times I've watched this session now. So it really felt like I made a step forward. Now, I'm tempted to show you all 3 or 4 laps that I spent following him, but practice is practice, and I know what you're really here for are the races. So let's fast forward to Saturday and see how the first race day goes. So we're just heading out of the pits for qualifying here, and of course I was hoping to apply what I'd learned the day before and set a relatively fast time with one of these fast groups. However, I'm getting a bit of a poor start out of the exit there, and I'm losing touch with the people in front of me, but it looks like a couple of karts that's Robbie and Grayson are slow over on the outside, or on the inside I mean, so that should help me close up. I think I actually should have been a bit more aggressive there. I backed off because I could see that Grayson was trying to slot in behind Robbie, and I figured I'd just let him and then follow the two of them. But I probably would have been smarter to just close right up on Robbie, have Grayson in behind me, and then be in that more ideal situation in the middle. I think maybe my thinking at the time was if I did that, then Grayson would probably send it on me on the first opportunity, which would compromise that lap, but still might have been a better play. Regardless, though, I've hooked onto Grayson here. I'm firmly in his draft, and then I'm going to close up fully on this straight right here, right now. Give him a little bump, hopefully stay right nice and close to him through this final sequence, and then start the first flying lap well. Of course, in reality, what's going to happen is he's going to rotate it way better into the left there than I did and pull a huge gap on me with a better run out of that last corner, and I'm going to be just barely trying to hang on to his draft through here. So I'm sure I'm literally and figuratively head down at the moment trying to close that back up, but he's fully in the draft of the 2 karts ahead. So with the draft advantage and a skill advantage, I imagine it's going to be not too difficult for him to drive away from me, but I'm going to hold on to as much draft as I can here because this might be my best chance at a decent qualifying lap. Got a little bit squirrely through there, not quite as close to the apex as I would have liked to be, but I'm really not losing too much distance to them. I'm sure they are pulling away on me, and at this point I've basically given up any hope of closing that right back up, but if I can at least stay somewhat in the draft, and I'm probably out of it now, honestly. Maybe I can get just a touch down the front straight. I did take that more competently that time, and they didn't really lose me through there too much. But they pulled a gap on me there for sure, so I'm definitely going to be qualifying behind them based on that lap, and that's even assuming they don't get faster throughout the session. But it was at least decent. That was a 57.6, I believe, so certainly not my fastest lap, but up there at least enough that I should be starting probably at the back of the fast guys for the pre-final. And indeed, I'm starting in 10th on the outside row here. Everyone ahead of me is very quick, and Grayson and Robbie are actually starting at the back. They're very quick too, so I wouldn't be surprised if they come into my race at some point. Now, ideally, I'd like to be starting on the inside row, but we can make this work. Just try and keep it clean through the first corner. Ideally hold on to the pack in front, or maybe even make up a couple places, but mostly just keep it clean. Now I was caught napping a touch off the start there, have a gap of a kart length or so in front of me, but I don't know what the guy behind me was doing. He's way back there, so not really helping me out, but managed to close up the corner here. That is one advantage of being on the outside. When you leave a space, nobody really wants it. And our row actually got a better run, so made up quite a few places there, but unfortunately really am losing touch with Wes in front of me. Drifting a bit wide on that corner, turned in a bit early, but held on to it. Got a gap in front and behind, so this is not really ideal. It's going to be difficult to catch up to that row in front, since they're all in their draft and I'm really in clear air here, but the row behind catches me and decides to give me the bump, which is lucky rather than steaming by me, and I could have easily lost a couple more places there. Now with their help, although I pulled a gap again through the chicane there, but if they close back up to me again and decide to give me the bump one more time, you know, maybe working together we can close up to this front pack, especially if they start trying to make up positions amongst themselves. Right now, unfortunately for me, they are working together quite well. Also, I don't know whether it's fortunate or unfortunate, but I seem to be pulling a gap on the karts behind too. Although looks like Chris behind is firmly in my draft now. He's getting a push behind him as well, which probably helped. So yeah, he gives me a little tap there, so this is good. Maybe we can, and yes, I see some side-by-side up ahead, so if he keeps pushing me along and the guys in front fight a little bit, we just might be able to close up with them this time. Pulling a bit of a gap through the first part of the chicane there again, but he... Oh, wow! I was gonna say he'll close up with me on the straight, but he is gone. Let's go back and take another look at that. And here it comes. Oof. That's what, a 720? And look at that thing fly. So, talked to him after this. It turns out this was, at least in my opinion, not his fault at all. It was a new kart that he just, new to him kart that he just bought that morning, and checked it over. The lug nuts were all tight, but what we found out afterward is that the actual studs were not completely tight in the hubs, so the studs backed out a little bit, and then of course the nuts were loose and eventually worked their way off. But yeah, I don't know, is that something that you would think to check? Not the nuts, but each individual stud being tight in the hubs of a kart you just bought? I mean, I guess I will now. Anyway, we're well out of the draft of the karts in front, and without any help now from behind, we're going to be in our own race for a while, so I'm going to skip ahead a bit. So I mentioned Robbie and Grayson were starting from the back. You can see a hint of green in my mirror there, which is not going to be a hint for long. There they are. I'm not aware of it at this point because I've been blissfully driving on my own for who knows how long. So they're actually going to get up beside me here into the kink, which is unfortunate. If they'd passed me into one, they would have had to take the narrower line there. I might have had a chance to hook on. But with the momentum that they had sailing past me, this is maybe my only chance right here as I'm in the draft a little bit. But honestly, with their pace advantage over me, unless I'm hooked right on to Grayson's bumper there, they're pretty much going to drop me, and we can see that happening now. Don't see anybody in the rear there for quite a ways. And indeed there really isn't, so I'm going to do my best to keep up with these two for a bit, and then I'm on my own for the last few laps. Give the flagger a little wave there for the white flag. Now I see a yellow coming in here. I take a glance over my shoulder, see that I'm still all on my own, so I really back off just to be safe. And it's probably good that I did, because this guy's sitting right in the middle of the track, so we handle that no problem. That's a lap kart up ahead, and here comes the checkered. So I think that gives us all in all 9th place in the pre-final. We made up a bunch at the beginning, and then lost those couple to Robbie and Grayson. And yeah, hopefully we'll have a bit more of a chance to mix it up in the final, which is now. So starting in 9th this time, which isn't a huge improvement from 10th, but it does mean we're on the inside row, which usually works quite well. We are right behind Ben and have been close to his pace this weekend, so that might be good. Hopefully can just stick on him, and hopefully the inside row here gets a good run. These tram lines that we're using for the first time this weekend are going to stop the outside row from cramming us over into the... Well, maybe they still will try at the kink here, but okay, all still fairly clean, and the inside row is getting a pretty good run up here, so that's nice. As long as we can negotiate this corner without issue. There we go, and we're into single file and still on Ben's tail, and made a few positions up there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think we're in 6th now, so this is nice. Now we just have to take this corner competently. Wouldn't that be nice? But just put a... Oh, wheel out outside of the grippy line there, and got a bunch of oversteer, lost all my momentum, and lost those positions back. So I think we're back to 8th or 9th again. But more importantly, losing all the momentum has lost us touch with the train ahead, so unless they start fighting, it's going to be tough to close that back up. And we have a gap behind as well, so no help there. This is looking very familiar. Thinking about this race after the fact, I think I would have been a lot better off, and actually did for the races on the Sunday, just take it a little bit easy into that left-hander, because that's the first place we're really testing the grip of the kart. The tires are still cold, and you just don't know exactly what it's going to do. And I don't have quite the skill of some of these guys ahead, so just because Ben can take it at a given speed doesn't, and everybody ahead of him can, doesn't necessarily mean that I can. And I think if I just, sacrificed a couple of kart lengths just to make sure that I'm gripped up around that corner, then I don't have that oversteer moment, don't lose touch, and if it's a couple of kart lengths, I know that I can close it back up in the draft. Then, as I get the feel for the kart, and as I know the tires are warm, I can take it hotter later in the race. That's what I should have done. It's not what actually happened. And so, while it didn't cost me a whole lot in terms of positions, I do find myself all on my own again. So, I guess let's skip forward one more time. Still on my own, but now a couple laps, 2.5 laps later, we do have Wes gaining here, and he's just about to catch a draft, so he should make up the rest of that distance pretty quickly. And I took the left-hander pretty well that time, so I know I can do it. It's just a matter of whether it's smart to absolutely send it on the very first lap. Wes closing up there, goes for the bump rather than the pass into this complex, which is nice. Might be a little bit optimistic to think that we're going to catch the group ahead, but he's probably just biding his time and no reason to try and pass me now as we're still in the middle of the race. Anyway, as I was saying, the other thing about that left-hander on the first lap was that I didn't fully account for the fact that I was getting a huge draft off of those 6 guys in front of me, so I actually entered it faster than I had all weekend, only marginally, and again, everyone in front of me did make the corner, so I think it is doable at that speed, but perhaps not for me at that moment in time. Although I am, see how it goes this time? Yeah, I mean, that's clean and looks roughly right, and even gapped West behind a little bit through there. Plus, having done these sessions and the sessions the next day, and that awesome practice session I showed you before, I think I have a little bit better idea of how the faster drivers are entering that corner and how it differs from what I was doing, so I'm really looking forward to getting back there and applying that. I think, given the right circumstances, I can hang with the lead pack through there, but we'll see. And then, of course, it's going to be another step from hanging with the lead pack to actually mixing it up in the lead pack at all. Maybe we can try and do some of that on the Sunday. But for now, we have a pack of 2, and we're leading it, which I guess is where you'd like to be, but not for long. He's finally gotten tired of following me and is going to send it into 1 there, which is not really a bad place to be passed because you do get the faster run into the corner, and as you see, you can hook right onto the driver in front of you. So I guess now we're going to follow for a bit. He probably has a touch of raw pace on me since he did catch up to me. Actually, I think looking at the data, he was lapping just a few tenths a second faster than me on average. But that's certainly within the window where in his draft I should have no difficulty hanging on. You see, I took that chicane maybe a little bit worse than him, but right back on in the draft down the straight here. So we will continue to stick on, and we'll just have to decide when is the optimal time to try to make the pass. Probably with the 2 of us together, as long as we're not fighting too much, we'll easily stay ahead of the karts behind. I don't even see anybody behind there, and likely not catching the ones ahead, so this is really a 2-person race. That was a little bit ugly through there again, and have lost a little bit of distance, so this is a bit dangerous. If he does manage to break the draft, like I said, he's probably got a little bit of pace, but I closed back up pretty well around that corner. He took it a bit wide, and yeah, now I'm getting a good run, and actually might as well go for the pass here. Almost like I planned it that way, which I certainly didn't, but I will take credit for taking advantage of the situation. It's not too often that you make a mistake and it actually ends up being good for you, and I make enough mistakes that I better take advantage of the ones where I can. So, back in front, but of course, now he has all the advantages that we just talked about, so he's going to stick with me no problem, and probably we'll have another opportunity to send it by somewhere here. I think we didn't get the white flag that one. Might get it the next time around. I think we're getting pretty close to the end of the race here. But let's not make it too easy for him. You know, if we make a big mistake, he'll shoot by and then break the draft. So we do need to keep it clean, and that's probably more important than outright pace. I do see a kart up in the distance there. That's a lapped guy, so that might come into play at some point here. Of course, that could be tricky if I get held up trying to go by him. Could give Wes an opportunity as well. In the meantime, we'll just try to practice the lines that we want to take through these. Somebody obviously had a problem going off there. Does look like we're going to catch this guy ahead. Not the white flag lap this time around, so we got 2 more at least. And I imagine his plan is to be patient now until that white flag lap, unless... Ooh! I thought I had just enough pace to be able to sneak it in on the inside there. Didn't quite manage, had to back out. But fortunately, he didn't have a great way to take advantage of that and got stuck behind me anyway. That's definitely somewhere I could lose it if I replay what I did in the first lap there, but fortunately managed to take it okay. This one is flat out, so pretty straightforward. It's just a matter of scrubbing as little as possible. There's some bumps there that tend to upset the kart right at the apex, and the more you can minimize the hopping that results from those, the more pace you can carry through there. That's all fairly clean. Been doing a good job this day so far of not oversteering through that last corner. Just changed both the line and really my whole approach to that. I think actually if you want to watch my last video from following Chris there as well, I learned some things and did actually improve in that area. But it seems like every time I improve somewhere, I kind of fall off somewhere else. I think also my standards just kind of go up each time. It'd be nice if everybody else just kind of stayed static and let me improve and catch up, but of course we don't quite have that luxury. But that's alright. We definitely did make some strides this weekend, and hopefully we'll see some more of that the next day. For now though, I would like to hold on to this place since this is the race we're in, so this is what we have to race for. And we're doing alright so far, putting in some decent laps here. I think we're in the like mid 57s with occasional bumps from behind, so not too bad. And there is the white flag. So when I saw that, I just eased over to the right a little bit to make sure he didn't get alongside me in the kink there, since that would be the opportune place. And I'm avoiding tracking all the way to the left to make that pass a little bit more difficult too if you did want to send it up the inside. Of course, compromises the run into the corner a little bit, but it's tough to pass through the corkscrew there unless you get a huge run on the person. Through here, I don't mind if he sends it into this one, so I'm not doing anything different than usual here, because I would have a chance to pass back and would actually get a good run going around the outside of him. And same thing here, if he wants to send it up the inside, I'll get right on him and we'll have a decent run. But now, I do want to move over, defend the inside, and make him work for this one. So he's going to go all the way to the outside, so I'm going to use the amount of space that I have. He tries to cut back, but there's nothing there. This is a little bit squirrely because I had to take that tight line into it, but managed not to slide in the last corner, which is the important thing. So I get a good run to the line and hold on for, what is this, 9th place. So again, not the most exciting race in my life, but the one silver lining is that my clear air pace was better than it has been pretty much ever, I think. I was running basically 58 flat and even dipped into the 57s, I think, in clear air. And then, of course, we were well into the 57s once Wes got up to me. So it felt pretty good, but we'll see how it goes tomorrow. So here we are in day 2 qualifying. The warm-up session was a bit rough for me to start off with. Going back to Saturday, I'd had a lot of trouble warming up the rear tires in the practice session and had been oversteering all over the place. Now, normally that wouldn't matter for, a warm-up practice session, but we are now using the best practice time to determine the starting order for qualifying, and starting in the fast pack for qualifying is a huge advantage versus being all on your own. So it's kind of like a pre-qualifying session now. Anyway, on Saturday, I had a lot of trouble with the rear tires, so I wanted to start with a bit higher pressure in the rears for the practice session on Sunday. which I did, and that certainly helped with the first couple of laps, but toward the end of the session, I was getting a lot of hopping where it felt like I was rolling over too far on the outside rear. By the way, there sure is a lot of jockeying for position going on in this train, which I'm very thankful for because I don't have the pace to stay with them otherwise at the moment, but that's just about enough to keep me in touch. Then the other complication for this second day was that I apparently picked up a puncture in one of my rear tires, I assume somewhere near the end of the final on the first day. So I had to put a practice tire and wheel on that corner, which of course is another uncertainty. So for this quali session, I tried to fix the rear hopping by moving inward with my front spacing. I already tend to run pretty narrow, and I took the last spacer off, so you can actually see if you look at my front wheel there, it's got no spacers between the hub and the spindle. Turned out that was not the best idea, and really kind of killed my rear traction again. Probably flipped the problem to not getting enough rear lift. Anyway, so I was struggling this session, but what you're watching is my best lap. And again, I think aided by the fact that these guys were trying to pass each other so much that I was just able to hang on to their coattails throughout. Yeah, not doing well through there though. That's going to cost me down the straight here, but fortunately I just have to get to the line, and that'll be good for a 57.3, which is not stellar. The guys in front are in the 56s, but it should give me a decent starting position for the pre-final. And indeed, I find myself here in 10th place, right about where I have been all weekend, it seems. So I guess that means starting on the outside row again. Hopefully that goes as well as it did last time, but hopefully this time I don't give all the places right back. Let's see. Well, I've definitely had worse starts, but I've had better too. With all that chaos, I guess I had to check up at one point, or thought I did, and kind of got swallowed up. But at least I'm still in Ben's draft, or at least I was. Just a little slide out of that last corner again. I'm still really struggling through there, and that might just be enough for them to check out. And again, I've unfortunately lost everybody behind me, so I'm not getting any pushes to help catch back up with them. So this, once again, is this situation where I seem to be in no man's land, not quite fast enough to keep up with the top pack, but gapping the karts behind and just kind of ending up on my own until one or two of them catch me. Which is indeed what happens. Again. So you know the drill. About 5 or so laps later, and I'm not sure if I realized it yet, but there is a kart in the rear view, and now that he's in our draft, he's closing up fast. That's Nick in Megan's car, the 117. And it looks like, yeah, he's not going to waste any time and is going to send it right here, which is not that bad a place to be passed because you do get a good run down the back straight, and I hopefully can close back up. And I guess this will be the same playbook as, oh, actually, I'm just going to go for the pass back right away. I actually kind of like that play, just assert like, no, you don't get to just go in front of me and see if they stay behind for a while. Once again, I guess he obviously does have a little bit of pace on me, although it took quite a number of laps to catch up, so we're probably fairly close. So same thing, unless one of us makes a significant mistake, we should stick together probably for the rest of the race, unless we're not going to catch somebody ahead, I don't think, but I do see another kart behind, so they may come into play as well. Anyway, I guess again, the name of the game here is going to be to finish ahead of him and call that a victory. It does seem like I'm pulling a little bit on the corners, and then he's of course closing back up on the straights in the draft. He must have been cornering faster than me while he was catching up though, so I wonder if he's just giving me a little bit of margin. But yeah, look at the gap that I built through there. Even with a little wiggle at the end there that's been plaguing me so far this second day. Didn't I say that was a strength this weekend? maybe there's a gearing difference. Let's see if he sticks right on us all the way up to the corner here. And he does until he backs off right at the braking zone. So his gearing's got to be at least as long as ours, which is a 1752, I believe I was running this race. Quite long. It would be surprising if he was longer, so we're probably on the same gear. It is funny. Could be that he's just not comfortable following my inconsistent ass through these corners and is playing it a bit safe, and I wouldn't blame him. Regardless, even if it means a bit of a battle, I certainly prefer racing with someone to just driving around laps on my own. I am welcoming this opportunity. That is a good sign that I can build that gap through there. If we end up in this configuration on the last lap, it'll be nice to, you know, be ahead like that as we go over the finish line, so let's hope so. But I'm sure he is going to try and make a move at some point here. The question is just when that's going to be. Although he must have made a bit of a mistake into one there. I'm actually close to breaking the toe at this point. So maybe if I can take the left-hander here competently, although he's closing back up, I'd have to get a really good corner here. And it was decent, but yeah, not quite enough. So he is back right there. Going on him again through that corner. Is he taking a wider line than me, maybe? I think that is what's happening there. He's a couple feet off of the apex there, probably to avoid those bumps. So I gain a little bit of distance through the corner, but he gets a better run out of it. I think my line was better through there, but it is a pretty close thing. Alright, there's the white flag, so we just got to stay ahead for this lap. I'm sure I took a look back there and had an idea of about how much gap I had. Definitely going to want to go a bit defensive into this corner to make it difficult for him, which I did do, but of course that meant I couldn't pull the big gap that I did last time because I compromised myself a little bit as well. So just like I said on the Saturday race when I was in exactly this same position, I don't mind too much if he sends it on me here, which he doesn't do, and in fact I gap him a bit, so that's helpful. Should stay ahead for this corner at least. And then if I'm smart, I'm once again going to pull it right over to the right here and make him work for this, which he does. Where have we seen this before, right? Except he's going to squeeze me a little bit more rather than going all the way to the outside. Still had enough space there, so that worked out, but oh, I got another one of those little slides out of the corner, and that's going to give him a run on me. He's pulling up alongside, but not quite enough. So we do manage to hold on to it, and I think that gives us, what did we do? 10th place. Oh, of course.
Nice racing. I have no idea if you got me by the end or not.
I don't think I did. I think you had a nose.
Oh, it was very close.
And now we have the final. Becoming very familiar with this grid position. So I made a couple more little setup tweaks before this session, and if I recall correctly, I looked over my data as well and got a bit of an idea where I was screwing up and losing time, basically. So this is going to feel quite a bit better than the kart was in the previous sessions. Except, I made one choice that I really regret, which was, since I kept finding myself in no man's land, I mean I had 3 basically carbon copy sessions over the weekend so far, I decided to go 1 tooth shorter in the gearing, so to the equivalent of a 1753, which is quite long compared to what we've ever run in the past, but the track was so gripped up this weekend that everybody was running really long gearing. I thought though that with the way that things have been going for me, if I fell out of that top pack, which seemed quite likely, the little bit of shorter gear would probably help my clear air pace, and that might help me from getting caught from the guys behind. Because of course I am still dealing with that one old tire too, so may still struggle. But for now, we've got another start from the outside, and this is going to be an interesting one. I got a decent start, so did the karts behind me, so we're all pushing on quite well. Well, might get some 3 wide into the corner here. We're going to just go out a little bit wide to make sure we stay clear of any nonsense, but we're still in this line, and okay, Chris is going to slide over in, take the space there, and now we're down to single file, but we're still in touch. This is good, and we made 2-3 positions up. Okay, staying in his draft. I mean, all through this part, the shorter gear is obviously helping me keep in touch. We'll see what happens a little bit later. I really wish I'd followed him through over on the right there. I think that would have been the play. I was a little bit gun-shy just since I've been struggling so much this weekend. Just wanted to make sure I stayed in the draft rather than trying to hook on and potentially losing them. But in retrospect, I would have liked to take it. That was pretty clean. And finally there, I made it through that last corner without scrubbing, so that helped me not fall behind the cart in front. But now is when you see me really pay for this shorter gearing. Even before I hit the limiter, he was already starting to pull on me, and then of course once I hit it, he's basically gone. Maybe I can use the advantage of the shorter gear through this bit to close back up a little bit, but it's tough when they've all got the draft and I'm pretty far behind here. There's another good corner. Did close up a little bit there, but that might just be a mirage, is that, you know, as the speed is lower, the distances are shorter, but that doesn't necessarily mean I'm actually closer. Somebody here trying to... It's Grayson, I guess. Took a look over to the inside, and he might take that into this corner. Yes. That's not entirely bad for me, though, because now I can grab a draft off of him. And unlike me, he probably can close up to that front group just with his clear air pace. Same thing, of course, through here. He's got the longer gearing on me, so it's really pulling as we get later in the straight. And Kalis is going to try and send it around the outside, but not quite manage to do that. So he's going to have to follow me through here, and hopefully will give me at least one bump down here somewhere. Is that it? I don't know if he actually did. And now he's going to send it on me. Not terribly surprising. Can I hook on? Possible. They're going too wide down there. That might back things up a little bit. Let's see how this goes. Do manage to close some of the gap up through there. And again, got a little bit of bouncing, but no slide through that corner, so I get a great run out of it. And these guys obviously had to check up for something that happened to West there. So we're able to go by him and stay in touch with them. But again, as we get to the end of this straight, I'm running out of gear. Really starting to regret that choice at this point in the race, but on the other hand, we're a couple laps in and I'm still fully in touch with the top group, so I can't really complain too much. Can't blame the gear here. I'm just turning in too early, and that's sending me kind of across the track rather than up it as much as I'd like to be, which is affecting my ability to get back on the power, and is why I have a bit of a gap here, which is just going to get worse down this straight. That is something I think I understand how to improve now, so I really am looking forward to getting back for next time. That's not as good through there. I mostly missed the first apex and then was pointing straight at the second one, so I didn't get a good transition between, and that really hurts how much speed you can take out of the last corner. But you know what? Despite all of that, and despite the fact that Kalis is driving away from me in front, that lap was a 56.5, which is by far my best lap ever around here. And there were at least 2 clear mistakes that I think I know how to improve on. I know I say this most weekends, but it really does feel like I've made some progress here and I've got something to build on. Anyway, another nice shot from Ben down the mini straight there, and we're not really getting dropped too much by the guys in front, so if he keeps working with me, maybe we can even catch them. Looks like he's got a battle on his hands now, though. Really appreciate how that blue barrier was moved to the left a couple of feet for this race weekend. That blue and white curbing already presents a natural barrier because it slows you down if you go all the way over the far edge of it. Oh, these guys are gonna send it on me now. That is unfortunate, but if I can stay with them, it's not the end of the world. I do manage to stay right on Ben. However, I have struggled to follow him through this next corner, so let's see how this goes. The line was better than most since I was following him right in his wheel tracks, but I didn't take advantage of it by getting back on the throttle earlier, so they still did gap me a little bit, although my shorter gearing, I think, did help me not completely lose touch. At least until this point where I'm starting to top out and they're starting to check out. see though. Last sort of chance through here to close it up a bit. And that was pretty good. Not a lot of sliding through there, but I don't think it's going to be enough because this long straight is probably the worst part for me. And yeah, they are gone, so we're back to being by ourselves for a bit here. I'll just finish what I was saying about the blue barriers. There is an advantage in using all the space up to and including the blue and white curbs, but going past that I don't think really gains you anything. Riding over the far edge of it's a bit rough, and I think it really is going to slow you down more than anything. So people generally won't try to do that. But if you're trying to use all the curb, of course sometimes mistakes happen and you put a tire over it. If the barrier is right there, as soon as you touch it, it wraps around you and basically kills you and anyone around you. Whereas if it's a foot or two off, you have just that bit of margin. Oh, been caught from behind here, but to have just that bit of margin so that if you do make that mistake, you don't go into the barrier, but it's still there for if someone makes a huge mistake to stop them from flying into the tire wall. So, I like this. Though I don't think I ever used that extra space this weekend, managed to keep it on the right side of the curb, although that could be because I was scrubbing out of that corner more often than not and killing all my speed. Anyway. Oh. Wow, that's a little bit more than a wheel over. So I guess we're going to close back up with Ben. And yeah, we're just going to sail by him here. Mitch is pushing us. And I think when I went by, I assumed that we just left Ben for dead because he seemed to have almost no momentum. But in reality, he hooked right onto the back of us there. So we're going to have some help again. And if we're really lucky, the two of them will just shove me all the way up to the front there. But I think they are on longer gearing than me, so we'll see how this goes down the straight. Took the chicane pretty well again that time. You can hear though I'm well over the limiter and they're basically just pushing me up the hill. Saw how quickly we were catching this lap kart, so I adjusted my entry into this corner a little bit so I'd take it shallower and yeah, wouldn't run right into him on the exit there. So that worked well and kept me in the front of this train. And honestly, it's probably in the direction of what I should be doing regardless. Gonna try to minimize my steering input more through there, but still, with all the pushes from these guys, that's another low 57. I think we did 57.2 and 57.1 those couple laps. And talk about moving the goalposts. I mean, before this weekend, I'd never been below, I think, a 57.4 or something. And now that I've had that 56.5, I'm thinking like, oh, where's my pace? Why am I holding up this train? Seriously though, I do feel like I learned quite a bit, and I think there is more to unlock next time around. For now though, it looks like we got some racing. Ben sends it on Mitch and tries to go around the outside of me. I just saw him in the corner of my eye there and held on, didn't let him by. I felt that bump from Mitch, and that kind of gave me a false sense of security. I thought one of them was trying to pass and one of them was working with me, so I could just stay over on that side, but no. I think they realize at this point that at least in the straights, if not the corners, and honestly probably there too, they do have a pace advantage on me. So, if nothing else, it makes sense for one of them to be ahead and try to pull the group forward faster. But of course, as soon as the two of them are ahead of me and not shoving me along, I'm just going to fall behind on these straights. But that is not quite the end, though I may wish it was. Jumping forward to the last lap, I have got a kart in my mirror again, and it is Nick in the 117 one more time, coming up on me very fast. That was okay, but it's not going to be enough to keep me in front. And he's going to go for it right here, probably because he remembers me defending down the back straight the last time. And I imagine he's going to do the same thing to me. I tried to time it around that corner so that I'd get the run on him on the longer line, but I went a little bit too wide, so I gave myself too much distance to make up. Didn't catch him until we got into the chicane here, So my only chance is a good run out of this last corner. Maybe my short gearing will help me here, but again, I think I left myself too much work to do, and I'm not quite going to do it, so he gets payback for the pre-final. So, good racing by him, rather poor racing by me. After that excellent start, I think I pretty much only went backwards. But you know what? Getting a really good lap in there and actually getting some running time with the top guys, finally learning some things from them, I think I'll take it. You know, not that I have a choice or anything. But we can always save the podium for next time. For now, it's an 11th place, just because, you know, 10th again would be boring. And I can't wait to go back. I'm a little bit sad there's only one more race weekend this year at VIMC. Hopefully we get a pop-up practice before that next one so I can apply some of what I've hopefully learned here. It's all theory crafting for now, but I really think that there's some more in it. We will see. Until then, I hope you enjoyed, and I hope to see you next time. Please, you know, like and subscribe and all that kind of good stuff. See you later.
Nicely done. Thank you. I was like, he's definitely going to move over to the inside. Yeah. You did it to me last time. I learned. Yeah.
I'm gonna need that. I have not felt this old ever. And I know that's probably rich coming from me.
Yeah, f*** you.
But,
you know what? It almost does the opposite to me.